word why. What a curious word. The kind of word that can make us cringe, feel defensive, or even distant. But you know, sometimes why is the key. The key that can unlock so much to our lives. Join me as we explore the why with fascinating contributors to the world. Those that entertain us, inform us, teach us about life, and if we're lucky, inspire the next in all of us. I'm your host, Dr. Rod Berger, and welcome to Headroom, a production of Rainlight and co-produced by Old Soul. Let's go.
All right, Scott, let's paint the picture for where we are at. Now, one, I'm going to start by saying this, that we are inside the studio, and I want you to kind of paint the picture for people. But we are also two guys wearing sunglasses in here. We're only doing
Absolutely.
that really for my sort of cool quotient here.
Yes. We got to get in the vibe, so to speak, you know?
We got to get into the vibe.
In the zone.
So paint the picture. So where are we? So we're Miami Beach.
We're in Miami Beach. We're here at my studio house where I come to every day and make music and you know, conduct my business, use it as my office, and doing interviews with guys like you.
Oh, no. Tell me about the music vibe in Miami. Like, we talked a little bit off air about LA, right? And there's New York, and we talked about where I'm at in Nashville. What's the vibe like here from a music?
Well, look, there's times that a particular city excels and we call it, it's lit at that moment in time. Like, and right now I feel like Miami is lit. Miami is becoming like a New York with palm trees, and it's really a lot of industry here. There's a lot of really, big artists coming here constantly, and the vibe is right and the energy is good. And there's times where there are, like, where LA was ahead of the game, and now I feel like, and not to take anything away from LA still has a thing going, but I feel like Miami is really popping right now, and I prefer being here.
And what about if we drill down and we talk about producers? Like, is this sort of the place when it comes to producing music outside?
I feel like right now it is. I mean, this, New York, LA, Nashville, Miami, these are all like your top places, I think. Atlanta for certain things. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Miami right now is filled with a lot of really talented people. And, that's when big records are getting made and where big records are getting made.
So you obviously, people know you've had quite sort of the last 2 decades in this industry.
Oh, more than that, buddy.
Well, I was being kind, Scott.
I'm in the game for 30 years now.
30 years.
Yeah. I got my first Grammy in 97.
97.
Yeah.
Did it evolve the way you thought? Because what I think is fascinating about the career path in music is, I would imagine you've got to be able to be okay with pivots, U-turns. Like, there's no one way to do it.
No, it's a very unpredictable business. And, you have to kind of adapt in a lot of ways. And it's always changing. And if you get caught up in one thought or formula of the way things are or should be, whether they're business-wise or creatively, technologically, you're going to get lost. You have to always be looking to the future.
What have you learned about yourself? I mean, you've had some well-documented sort of ups and downs, like a lot of people, especially in the space.
Well, you know what? When you have so much success at such a young age and so fast it comes to you, and, we lose sight of what is, the most important things in life. And we, open the door to bad things, or people find you, you're dealing with a high volume of people, and, people find you and then introduce you to bad things. And I got addicted to drugs in, the late mid 2000s, and had like a, 5-6 years of dark period, and I had to get through that. And I've been, really in a great place, and, physically, and I'm kicking ass again, I'm inspired, and,
What's the impact on your creativity? Like, you hear stories anecdotally that if someone has been creative and they've been sort of caught up in that whirlwind, sort of whether they're actors or they're producers, right, that there's almost this fear that they created their genius early on through that world, it may not be as healthy as they would have wanted, right? That when they come out on the other side, there's almost this reticence that, man, can I replicate at least what I did?
For me, fortunately, I mean, I know that's true with a lot of people, a lot of rappers and a lot of this and that. But for me, all of my best work I made clear-eyed.
You did.
And and that was the only way for me. I was, my addiction was being in the studio and working and kicking ass and doing the work of 10 people.
So you were like a gym rat. But
that was my thing. And then I was introduced to nightlife and the distraction and the drugs. And then there was no ability for me to work anymore. The ability was more, like to party. And so once I freed myself of that, I got excited about that again. And that's where I started getting into all these new ventures and these new things that I'm doing and understanding now after that period where things are. And I had to adapt again in life. And
was there a moment when you felt that you were reconnecting with yourself when you were coming out on the other side of things?
Yeah, absolutely.
I almost have this.
And the world,
world.
Yeah, because I alienated myself and it was not.
How would you describe that for someone who hasn't gone through that? It's almost like this image of someone like floating and they can't they've lost. It's like an astronaut in space.
When you're in the midst of it, you can't see that you're in the midst of it. Like you
don't even know you're floating.
Yeah. So if you're able to, put the willpower together and be strong and get through that, you come out very grateful and very happy. And that's where I'm at. But, doing a movie about the story of my life right now with Charles Roven, who is Atlas Entertainment, the guy responsible for Suicide Squad series and millions of other films, and doing a major picture about it. And hopefully it'll make people laugh, cry, and inspire them. And,
are you comfortable at this stage with Pandora's box being open for everybody to
Absolutely. I mean, I kind of feel like the world has had it. It's been open. And now I just want to kind of deliver the message of what I'm doing and what I'm involving myself in right now. And just, trying to be, ahead of the curve in a lot of things, make up for lost time and being edgy and getting involved in a bunch of these things like the tech stuff. And
do you find that you're taking more risks professionally because now you're at this stage of your life? Like you can be creatively even more risky and sort of try new things.
Absolutely. I have a special quality. Everybody has a special quality that, they have in their bag of tricks as far as what they bring to the table in music. Mine is melodies, and melodies, no matter what, are always a necessity in making music. The drum programming, the equipment we use, the technology, the sounds, everything, that always comes back to the essence of a good melody. And because I'm able to play piano and use that as my, doorway to that and how I create it, and, with guitars and understanding all the music, the melody, the keys, this is what makes for something that's, good for forever.
When did melody first sort of enter your brain and change your DNA as a kid?
Like 10 years old. And I remember realizing that I was listening to somebody sing and play a song at 10 years old. And this weird thought that always stays with me was I was thinking at the time, man, that melody is not right for that. I think that lyrics should have been different on that. And these creative, critiquing things of somebody else. And I was like, I can do this better. And I got into it. And then by the time I was 13 years old, there was this girl, Allison Matz, that I went to school with. And she came from a very, well-to-do family, really great people. And I was at her house after school one day and I was playing their grand piano. And the father said, "Hey, would you play piano for my guest later?" And I said, "Sure." And I played the piano and everybody was entertained. And then he handed me money.
He handed you money?
Yeah. I was a little kid and he's handing me some nice money. I was like, "Are you sure? Really, is this happening?" And I was like, "Man, this is what I love to do. And I think I can make money doing this." And from that moment at 13, I was like, I'm going to be in the music business, And to me, it was if I'm a big success or if I'm playing bar mitzvahs or weddings or whatever, I don't care. This is what I want to do. I can survive doing this.
That's where you felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And were you classically trained?
No.
So you literally
I took a couple of piano lessons, and then I didn't work out because it was hard to get to the piano lessons. Somebody had to take me, and we had to pay for it, and it was kind of an issue. And I just taught myself. I taught myself my own way. I have a certain system in my head of the way it works, and I understand light theory and music notation, but I just let my hands do it. It's always worked for me.
So maybe the journey you were on was just meant to be.
Yeah.
It was part of your story, not that you could have averted it. Do you have to come to that point, that sort of place?
Yeah. I mean, before I was able to pull my life together and get back on my feet and, be doing well again, there was a certain regret, obviously, that you had to carry with you. And, as time goes on and the more hard work you put out and the more that you're doing, that goes away. It subsides. And you enter your next phase.
And this next phase now is integrating in technology.
It is.
And technology here's the funny thing, the parallel. We were talking about sort of those maybe dark days for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I was imagining almost someone like floating that sort of can't grab the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Solid ground. And now we're talking about the metaverse.
Ironic.
Right? The irony, right? That you're now partaking in, supporting and participating in a world that, quite frankly, the masses have no idea. It's a mystery.
Well, it's a whole world, and I think we're just at the cusp of it. I think NFTs were just an introduction of what this metaverse is, and that's a very art-driven thing. But there's ability to do endless things within there, from shopping and just entertaining yourself, playing games, seeing concerts. There's so many things.
What's the impact? Let's talk about the concert component. Like, what do you think the impact creatively? Not just about, I guess, drawing in audiences for sort of one-off experiences, right? Of listening and seeing concerts in the metaverse. But what do you think that this can do to the creative spirit of the artist, the producer out there?
I think it's just one more thing to add to the equation. Like, I think that it's an additional thing, and it's something really great, and it can be very artistic for them. It can be very profitable for them. It can be very cool for people that can't get to concerts and will be able to go check it out on their VR in the metaverse of some crazy event, and they feel part of something. And it's like so many different things about it that I think are awesome.
Do you think that we are prepared to meet the needs? Because I think the younger generation, not to call you and I old, but it does.
I surround myself with young people.
You do.
The Mosverse guys and my children, and I have some edgy people around me.
So it's intentional for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to, get caught in a moment in time. I want to keep going. Some people get set in their ways. I can't do that.
So you're saying,
that's how I was able to make music for 30 years and always to this day be doing edgy stuff and keeping people on their toes. It's not formulaic. It's not like this is how you do it. It's like I'm learning from kids. I'm learning everything.
This is not power and control. It's not power and control. It's more collaboration.
Yeah, it's not a light switch. It's not something. It's more collaborative. It's more, experimentative.
So is this now, thinking about the metaverse and Mosverse in particular, and live concerts and these different pieces, is this a little bit like giving a painter an entirely new set of paint?
Yeah, somewhat. It's doing something different. It's a new palette, as you're saying. Yeah, it's definitely a new palette, and it's giving me an ability to do some cool stuff creatively that I haven't touched on before. So it's fresh and it's new.
And is that the most appealing part of it?
It's one of the most appealing parts of it, but everybody likes to win. You know what I mean?
Me too.
And it gives you something to fight for, to do, and you're trudging into new territories, and it's about winning. It's not even about money. It's not about, It's about making something great, leaving your footprint in the world and doing something that's edgy.
Headroom is produced by Old Soul, a one-stop marketing agency that understands the power of brand and nuance. Reach out to my guy Matt at Old Soul and supercharge your brand and content strategy. That's Old Soul. Shoot Matt a note at aoldsoul.com. That's AOLDSOUL.com. And now, back to our guest.
We were talking, and we're here at your studio in Miami Beach, and we were talking earlier about a conversation I had with Deepak Chopra and what he's doing in the space.
In the metaverse.
Right? And talking that he had mentioned that, you know, digital natives, these younger folks, they're actually starting to become annoyed with the physical world. Because in a digital world, they can manipulate, they can move a palm tree. they can bring in a car that they didn't actually have, right?
Right.
It feels like it, in a fantastical way, is opening up possibilities that right now we can't even think about. And even somebody as creative as you. And just to paint the picture, we're in your studio, we've got, how would you describe these lights? It's like these rainbow lights that are just sort of circulating around the studio here.
I like it. It brings an energy to the room, like when I'm working, and you know, it's like a pulse almost.
Yeah, there's a pulse, but there's also sort of a calming element to it. Does it calm you in here?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a bunch of different settings, so this was like something I really liked and felt was cool. So yeah, and like, can you imagine the possibilities of what you can do designing stuff like that, like in creating a virtual recording studio where people can go into the studio and meet you there in this crazy
from different parts of the world.
From different parts of the world, and you can create music and it can come out right there in the metaverse.
Talk a little bit about, so I think for a long time we had technologists, right? And then we had creatives. And forever it was, could the technology provide the canvas that would be authentic to the artist?
No, I mean, I appreciate all of the new technology and the technologies we've been introduced to all over the years. But there comes a point where, yes, I believe that some of the people are too dependent on the technology now. And that technology, there still has to be the light bulb inside somebody's brain and like the creative part of it to utilize it, and less depending on just the technology to make the music.
So how do you think we do that? I mean, it sounds
it's
like
a balance,
right? It has to be.
It's a balance
because we're dealing with different types of brains, right? I mean, someone who can build a metaverse may be very different than someone that can lay down a track.
Look, I think a really healthy relationship for me, like with a production partner that I'm making music with, you know, I have more of an edge with the melodic stuff and the music. And if I team up with a young person that's really heavy on the tech stuff, you know, it's a nice blend of peanut butter and jelly, like that works, and it's working very well right now for me.
Do you have to think about it sort of as a dance partner, sort of who leads, or is that part of your approach that you've had for 30 years?
I mean, I think everything stems back to the Lennon-McCartney theory, and that's like a pad and a pen and a piano, and like that stuff. Once you have the meat of the music in that, and you have the you know, an initial foundation of what the music is for the song, that's when you apply it to that technology, and that's when you can come up with something great.
Let's pivot to
something that makes you feel something.
There's like a visceral reaction. Let's pivot to the area of music that a lot of people know you for, hip hop, rap, right? So historically, and you know, sort of years back, it was thought very sort of territorial, whether it was audience or where a group came from, right? That it felt maybe from the public that it was
like segregated,
territorial. Like this is sort of, you know, this is where we are. You know, we're the New York group. We're the, you know, these sorts of things. And
I think that's changed definitely, which I think is a cool thing. I think that some of those lines are kind of like a little bit different now. Like it's a lot of stuff blends into each other: hip hop, pop, reggaeton. You know, Afro beats, all these things are kind of now starting to be in the same world, in the same place, you know?
Is that a potential opportunity with the metaverse?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of different worlds are going to collide there, you know, as well as within the music, you know?
So you're kind of like explorers, like just setting foot in a new land. Is that
essentially, yeah.
I mean, you and your contemporaries are basically sort of laying out what people like me will experience.
Yeah.
Almost like authoring the next chapter.
Yeah, but doing it in more of a fully immersive experience where people can do more than see things and hear them. Like, you can actually feel them, be inside of it.
So you're in a good place in your life.
Yeah, I'm in a very great place in my life. I'm very happy. Occupying my time doing things that count and spending time with my children and my family, and it's the greatest I think chapter that I've had yet.
My experience of you is you're incredibly calm, and you've been incredibly gracious in hosting me, but it's almost as if you're a soul and a person that has gone through what you've gone through.
It's humbled,
and also like comfortable, you know?
Yeah.
And that to me is a hard place for people to get.
Yeah. A lot of people try and hide their problems. Like, I embrace it. I own a rehab center in LA called the Heavenly Center that is, for people, like, we use cannabis for healing for people on more harmful shit, and like, people that are their lives are spinning out of control. I feel like I'm helping them, and that's another source of happiness for me. But like, yeah, I'm chilling. I'm in a great place.
How has your relationship with success changed over the years? I would imagine early on you got money right out of the gate. I mean, even that great story of being like 13 playing a piano at Allison's house, right?
Yeah,
Dad giving you money,
remember.
Right? That's connecting neurons. It's like, okay, if I do this, I can get I can get some cash for that. That impacts just the way in which you might think about yourself, what success might feel like. I would think your success has changed for you.
Yeah, well, look, there's been moments in my life, even post-addiction and all that, where you feel uninspired and you might, get too comfortable or whatever. But like, you got to like really remind yourself, how lucky and blessed we are as people to have a gift, and that we can go and if we put the time in, have a chance to make good money and make success and leave a footprint. And, I found that inspiration again. And now doing all this new stuff, I'm really inspired.
Let's put a wrap on this. What is your advice to sort of the young creator that, for whatever reason, pays attention to the Instagram and the movies, and they think that the lifestyle is as important to their brand and their potential opportunities in the industry as the craft that they potentially are good at?
I tell them this: don't want the Ferrari. Be the Ferrari. You be what is gonna be, like, make, charm people. Don't let your car do that for you. You gotta be that. You got the music you put out, the work you do, the way you deal with people. When you walk into a room, your presence is felt without any of that stuff. And if you can do that, everything else is just icing on the cake. But depending on that lifestyle and thinking that's going to be what makes you cool, or being seen with the right people, that's not it. Be the Ferrari.
Keep being you. It's nice to spend some time with you. I look forward to seeing what you, the Mozverse, what you guys are going to create that will change the experience, not just for me, but for my kids and for the next generation that wants to create on a moment by moment basis.
There's a lot of people in this space that are experimenting, and I'm lucky enough to say that I'm partners with probably the most talented people in this space, because they have incredible abilities and talent. The way I had make music, they have it within the tech, and have created some special products and special things in Mozverse, and I'm just very, very happy to have them as partners and to be in this project.
Well, you've got a talent that maybe you've not been paid for in the past, but you've got a talent around humility, and you've earned it the hard way. And I think that probably makes the world spin round for you and those that you collaborate with. Thanks, Scott. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for taking the plunge into Headroom, where we uncover the why behind the what and who impacting our lives. Headroom is a production of Rainlight and co-produced by our friends at Old Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Rod Berger, and this is Headroom.